myself when I was testing to see whether I could hear you or not. Weird. Yeah, because you weren't actually saying something, then your lips were moving.
Yeah.
Couldn't hear anything. Okay, good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Talking Niagara this morning. And the first thing we're going to be doing today is going to be looking at those Niagara Falls mayoral and council candidates. So right at the moment, what we've got is 5 mayoral candidates: Jim Diodati, Laurie Lococo, Paul Manning, Kevin Martineau, and Michael Lucid. We know Jim. He's been around. This is his fourth or fifth term. He's trying. I think fifth.
Yeah,
term.
if he wins this one, he would be the longest serving mayor. Probably the one previous to that was Thompson, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then we've got running up against him, Laurie Lococo, who's an experienced councillor, has her, wants to change position. Paul Manning, who's an undercover police officer and author, who's written about corruption. Kevin Martineau, who's a newcomer, he's a barber. And he's looking at standing for the business community more than anything else. And I've been having discussions with those two all weekend. Interesting people. And the other one is Michael Lucid, who names himself as the strong Niagara candidate. Don't know what the heck that means, though. Right?
Yeah.
Have any thoughts about what strong Niagara means?
No. I've heard strong Niagara used before.
Yeah.
But I don't know in what capacity. It sounds very familiar, so I can't give an opinion on it. It may be something he's just invented, or I don't know.
Well, let's have a look at what. Well, you see, Strong Canada and a few other things. Strong Niagara. Niagara Strong Facebook. There's a Facebook community called Niagara Strong. That's probably what you're
okay.
Linking it to introduce a perspective on mental health by providing innovative initiatives to empower our youth and improve our quality of life. Yeah, I don't think that's got anything to do with our candidate with Michael Lucid. Never know. Strong Niagara banner doesn't mean a great deal to me. Right. Okay, so going on the incumbent councillors. Well, actually, I think there's an interesting race. Before we go anywhere else, I think there's an interesting race brewing. We got two of the city's favourite politicians going up against one another in Jim Diodati and Laurie Lococo. The question is, Jim Diodati got about, I think, 13,000 votes at the last election, and Laurie got just under 10 at the last election. Can she fight him?
Of course, everybody who wants Laurie Lococo somewhere on the council has a deep apprehension whether she picked their time one term too early. If she had waited 4 more years, she would have been a shoo-in for mayor probably. But did she call it a little early? I think, of course, she's everybody's favorite politician. But Jim Diodati is a wily old politician.
Yeah.
He's got all kinds of connections. He's got all kinds of solid votes, and he's a very careful man. He's very careful with his careful, complete, and well organized in his election. I mean, right to the very last minute last time when he had no opposition whatsoever, he had people working the corners continually waving his banners down to the very last minute. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this guy doesn't take anything for granted because he has absolutely no opposition. And he's got his people working right to the very last second. Jim Diodati for mayor, people with signs on corners, waving them and thinking, here's a guy with no opposition. And he's got all these. I thought, this guy is so careful that he's not leaving anything to chance. So that's who Lori Lococo was up against. I don't like, as far as popularity among the voters, she has it, but can she withstand the campaign that Jim Diodati is very experienced at?
Yeah.
And she's a man, she's a woman. Okay, now here's another thing that still is a stickler in our society, even among women. Women sometimes think that it's better to have a man at the helm. And unfortunately, I'm not talking about men thinking that way. I'm thinking women. There are a certain amount of women out there that still think that it's better to have a man at the helm.
Well, a lot of those Jim Diodati sign waivers were women at the last election.
Well, I can't say that they would rather have a man rather than a woman. I think they were just supporting him. But I'm thinking like that last bit of old-fashioned vote might make the difference here. Also, Lori is nice. She's wonderful. She's intelligent, but people will think will she be able to stand up with a voice and be the leader? I'm trying to tap into people's old-fashioned prejudices against women and all that. A lot of people may think of her as a wonderful candidate, but maybe not suited for mayor because she's not aggressive enough, or that kind of thing. Sadly, those things exist. I mean, I think Lori would make a fabulous mayor myself. I think she's got to the point now where she understands the politics. She's put about everything to a study. She does a thorough research. When she speaks at council, she's among the most informed.
Yeah.
And but will she win? I don't know.
You see, the thing is, there's a lot of difference between being city councillor and being a mayor, because mayor, it's suddenly, and hey, don't get me wrong, this would be the same for any of the other four candidates. Jim Diodati's been there before, but any of these top jobs like the mayor, you have a mountain to climb to learn in the first month to learn that job, right? Is she capable of doing it? Well, only Lori can really, only the future can tell with this. And this is going to be the same question for Paul Manning and Kevin Martineau and Michael Lucid. Now, I've had discussions with both Manning and Martineau this weekend. I have to say they're very interesting characters. They've got a lot going for them, and I think they've got their heads screwed on. Probably, you see, the challenge would be, it's quite a tough challenge going out there again with not any history, going up against somebody like Jim Diodati, let alone going up against two incumbents, so to speak.
Yes, well, so I don't have a whole lot of. I've yet the campaign has not developed, but I don't think Manning or any of those other. I think the real only two candidates in the race for mayor are Lococo and Diodati. The other ones will pick up a vote here or there. They may make the difference by how many votes they pick up. If there's only 1,000 votes between Lori Lococo and Jim Diodati, the ones that went to these other folk may be the ones that could have made the difference.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think they have a chance in hell.
Okay, fair. It's fair thought. Right.
I'm
I'd
tipping
like
my hat to them.
yeah,
I
I know.
basically, I will
Yeah.
say this: I'm tipping my hat to them. Say thank you very much for running. Thanks for getting involved. I mean, yes, thank you very much. But none of you are very well known,
Different
and it
different
would take an
style of
enormous amount of money
yeah,
in order for you to get to be known.
yeah. Different style of candidates, both of them. I've spoken with both Paul Manning and Kevin Martineau during the course of this weekend, and think that they actually have some pretty good policies that they wish to pursue. Nothing like completely out of the ballpark like some of the people that we had at the last election. We had, I think, of the last election, we had 4 no hopers, of which of which the largest vote was 1,600.
Well, as I'm saying, it's how much financial wherewithal do they have? I
Yeah,
don't know how much a limit they are allowed to put into the race. What is it, $40,000 or something like that? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Have they got that kind of money? That in order for them to become well known enough to get that many votes, they're going to have to put out a lot of cabbage. They could have the best ideas ever going, and we
Yeah,
know that. Look, you had a lot of good ideas. Did you get voted
no,
in? No, you're pretty
I
well
got
known,
11. I got 1,150 votes.
right? And why is that? I think it's probably like how much money did you have in the campaign? Did you have eighteen
I
thousand,
put in
$20,000 in
I
the
put in a
campaign?
grand total of no. I put in a grand. I was going to say a grand total of 0, but that's not entirely true. I had leaflets. Most of the leaflets I produced myself. Did it on this old printer here, which I couldn't even can't even work today. And the I had some professionally printed leaflets, but apart from that, I actually sent some out to the far stretches, if you know what I mean. So I had the post office do some for me.
Yes. So I would say that unless whoever these candidates have that are rather unknown, they're going to have to step into the fray with
Yeah,
big time money.
yeah,
Lori Lococo spent the time that Lori Lococo came ninth and didn't quite win that first time she got in, or the first time she ran but did not get in. She did not get in,
yeah,
and she spent $18,000, right, and did not get in. And so you look at the type later on, the next couple times she got in, so it paid off in the long run.
yeah.
But how many
Oh, yeah,
people are going to put out that kind of cabbage?
yeah.
Who's got that kind of
Absolutely.
cabbage? Right?
Yeah. All right. So let's do a quick rundown of the normal
We got a
council.
whole debate going on here behind us, right on the
Yeah.
Mike Cushman and other comments just coming up one right after the other.
Yes, I know, and I'm putting them up there. Okay, so for city council, we've got incumbent Mona Patel, right? I suspect she's probably going to get back in. I think she's
so, yeah.
unfortunately, pardon me? She's
Yes, I think
unfortunately
so.
the do nothing candidate. She's done nothing in 4 years, and she thinks she's going to get back in. Unfortunately, I think she will.
Well, she has the ethnic vote,
Yes.
so she has an ethnic vote. As far as that's trouble with ethnic votes. It was the same thing with the Italians before
Yeah.
when we had a predominance of Italians. They would vote for Italian no matter what. I think is in this particular case, Mona Patel will get there just because her whole ethnic group will come out to vote for her.
Yeah, part of the problem I've seen with Mona Patel is I've seen her in council on video over the last 4 years, and the topic raised, and she's got this expression on her face which is, what the F is going on here? I don't understand a word of what's being said. Right? Maybe that's just facial expression, but it speaks volumes for her, unfortunately.
Well, I don't know. I think she's now an experienced.
She
She's an
is.
experienced. All right, so she's got in. she's done a term. She's going to get another term because of her the fact that her demographic will vote for her. You know, just like I said, the Italians did before. You know, you couldn't beat an Italian.
Oh, I know. I agree with you. I agree with you.
So, so that's going to happen. But she's now experienced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think she'll be a much better candidate coming forward because she's had 4 years under her belt.
Okay. Next person on the list is Sheila DeLuca. She's actually an interesting candidate because she's been involved in a lot of civic offices. She's been she's a member of the Environmental Action Committee, the Recreation Committee, and she's been on the Property Standards Committee and the Dangerous Dogs Committee. So she's done a lot of background research, and her name is fairly well known. As soon as you put her candidature up, I'm like, okay, I know who she is. Right?
Yeah, you've heard the name before. You heard the name before. She'll be easy to look up, easy to find information on.
Yeah. And the point about this is that do I think she's necessarily going to get in? No, but I think she's going to be one of the stronger alternate candidates, right?
She might have a better chance because she's recognizable.
Yeah, that's about where I think she's going to be. Now, our friend Brad O'Pine, he's a writer, musician, community activist, radio show host. I don't know what radio show he's on, but he's been having a campaign on social media. I don't know, he's a bit of a nutcase by all looks at it, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but sometimes you need a nutcase on council, don't you? Somebody that looks, you need nuts on the council so people will tune in and watch.
Okay, Gold Maple says Mona Patel has to win. I'm East Indian, but not from Niagara Falls. Why didn't you tell me she's running? I would have canvassed and brought all the people from Niagara Falls to vote for her.
Brought all the people from there.
Yeah.
Look, as I said before, she's now an experienced politician. She's pretty green when she started. She wanted to get her voice heard, so she stood up and talked a lot of which just made her sound like she was self-aggrandizing. So, but now she's an experienced politician. I think she might be worth voting for because she's had 4 years in, and she is interested in policy. So,
At the last election, she borrowed some of Jim Diodati's stuff to help her get elected.
Yeah, and Jim, there's another thing. If whoever's voting for Mona Patel and she's trying to cozy up to Jim Diodati, they'll probably also vote for Jim Diodati, which shuts Lori out of some of that demographic. Anyway, who else we got? We got Brado.
Gold Maple says he's got to make Mona Patel mayor of Niagara Falls just because she's East Indian. Just because she's East Indian, no. Hey, I'm married to an East Indian person, so hey, why wouldn't that make me perfect choice for mayor?
No, your wife has to be mayor, not you.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, yeah. Okay, let's move on with the other candidates. So we've got Jitto Tom, who's a new candidate. He's very little known actually about him, about this particular individual. And Gary says Mona Patel is useless. Yeah, I'm not reading the rest of it. Right. So back to Jitto Tom. Is basically very little information out about this individual. So Brian Winnie Winrow is number 5 on the candidate list. He actually has a campaign website, brianwinrow.ca. he also is listed as a registered. Is on Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce that lists him as a registered candidate. But again, very little is known about him either, right? So I would suggest that he's probably not going to be appearing that high on the list. Darlene Kane.
You forgot Brian Winnie Monroe.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about just now.
Oh, I thought you were still talking about Judo Tom.
Okay. No, I was saying little is known about Winnie Monroe other than what he's got a brianwinroe.ca is his list.
Darlene Kane, what we know about her?
So Gold Maple says we need to make the entire council include East Indian. Well, that would be an interesting challenge.
I don't know.
Right. Okay, so Brian Winnie Monroe, yeah, basically not a lot known about him either, right? Moving on to Darlene Kane, registered for City Council. This is the first time she's run. She's a socially conservative candidate by all accounts, and she's, the problem here is potentially is that we've got to see her campaign, see what comes up, but not much known about her right now.
Where about Celia Taylor?
Celia Taylor, yeah, okay. New candidate, previously a Green Party candidate, so she has basically stood under the Green Party for provincial and federal elections, and that gives her a lot of advantage over many of the other candidates, but where is that going to leave her on the list of candidates? She's a better known name than many of the other newcomers. I would put that I would probably say that's going to stack her in the middle bundle, but probably not get her into office.
To me, like she is like got some political ideology there, Green Party, which I don't sure. mind one way or another. But to tell you the truth, as a voter, I'd rather have an accountant on council, somebody that understands numbers and budgets and things like that.
Yeah,
that's what I'd rather have myself. But anyway, then we got Jody Burdett.
Yeah. Jody Burdett, yes, who's actually been quite well known because of his. And I said to you before, about a year ago, when he started doing his things about challenging on the Integrity Commission, I said he would be standing. He's building his campaign around reasonable budgets, transparency, and accounting. And he ran for council in 2022 and got 1,621 votes, and got so. I think he's set to improve upon that.
Well, Paul read his a lot of the stuff that he is proposing, and Paul says it's very, very reasonable, and gets overlooked just because he's been challenging the integrity commissioner. So that part overshadows what is his thoughts on budgets and all other things. So.
Yeah, I think he's going to increase, perhaps double his vote, but is that going to be enough to get in?
I don't know. Now we got Dan Moody next.
Dan Moody, yeah, Dan Moody's been around for a while. He ran in 22. He was placed 11th at 4,100 votes, but I've not really seen Dan Moody as being active in the community in the last little while. So the question is, will that vote improve from 4,104 votes, or will it stay about the same?
I don't know. No.
Yeah.
What about Liam Mumba?
Yeah. So again,
Lillian
Lumber. I think you take the two names together, Lumbar.
Oh.
right? She is CEO and founder of Divine
Lumba.
Healthcare Staffing Inc., right? And so she was on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and right. So this is her first time around as a candidate, but she's got a position of business leadership, healthcare sector knowledge, and is that enough to stand her in? Stand her in this election and get her into office? Probably not.
If she were able to tell us about her business acumen, that would be interesting to me. If she was a good business person, then I could see how those skills might be able to equate into city council. Because let's face it, we've talked about this before. Political ideology is very nearly irrelevant in city politics, because what you basically have is X amount of money, how you're going to spend it and where you're going to spend it. And there's a lot of things you cannot not spend it on, like sewers and roads and sidewalks and etc. So a lot of these things, it's impossible to reflect any kind of political ideology on basic things like that.
Yeah, there's no political ideology in repairing a street light or a traffic light, is there?
Yeah. We, the people of the Communist Party of Niagara Falls, want this sewer redone, and so does everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it doesn't matter whether you're, whichever end of the political spectrum, whether you're fascist or communist or anywhere in between. You kind of go, well, it's 6 years since this has been repaired. Fix it.
Basically down to the same, yeah. So we have Ruth Ann Newestag. She's an experienced person.
Yeah,
so
she
got the advantage of being an incumbent.
Yeah, she's got 8,642 votes. She has stood previously, prior to the last election, and she was also a member of PC. She actually stood for recently, I think, for provincial government against Wayne Gates, but didn't win.
Yeah. Okay, Tony Baldinelli.
Tony. Our name-alike candidate who got elected last time, but I really don't think he's going to be elected again. Got elected on 7,333 votes, but this is Mr. Sleep through every council meeting there's been. I think he's spoken once in 4 years before he went back to sleep again.
Well, Paul told me that certain people still believe that they mix him up with the other Tony Baldinelli.
Yeah.
And he may have got votes because people mixed up what Baldinelli he was, So that's I don't know. If
I don't see him as
but he still has the advantage of being an incumbent.
Yeah, he has that advantage, but I don't see him as being elected because of some of the other stronger candidates that we've got further down the list. Right,
and then we have Dan Giancola.
Yeah, he's a former CFL place kicker, and. The question that we have then is that, okay, so Mike Strange is also a very well-known athlete. Do we want to be putting athletes on City Hall? Does he understand what's involved in politics? If that question is yes, then that may well be a reason to put him on. But if the answer is no, then it's problematic. So
I say we should vote for him because if we have a delegation and we don't like, he can drop kick them out of the council.
But I think I categorize him as one of these newcomers that's worth watching. He'll get a higher vote than expected, but will he get enough to get on council? That's a very good different question. And then we move on to Mike Strange.
Yeah, well, he'll get reelected because
actually I'm gonna question that. Right? Yeah, I can see where you're coming from because he's always traditionally been the highest vote getter. But I think there's going to be some people out there who will put a question mark against Mike Strange this time around.
I don't think so. I think he'll get elected in. I don't think he'll suffer too much from the scandals that have surrounded him. I don't think
he'll come in first place.
Now that Laurie's out, he may. Who's going to beat him?
Well, he was first place last time.
Yeah, I think he's probably got maybe Joyce Morocco will be first this time because she's more well known. She's the next one on the list. Joyce
Morocco, known. She's very well known. She's a former council member. She's, of course, a challenger right now because she is Niagara Regional Council. She was, as Niagara Regional Councillor, she finished second on the ballot with 7,974 votes for the regional council. So she previously served 13 years as Niagara Falls City Councillor and has run federally and provincially for the Liberals.
Yeah, there again, another very experienced candidate.
Yeah,
it's been around politics for a long time. Just because of her accumulated experience, you might want to consider her because she'll be able to hit the council running. She doesn't have no learning curve, anything like that.
I think she's a major contender, but also she has one question mark in her, in my mind about her, which is the Evertrust thing in because she was spokeswoman for that company.
Yeah, better name Never Trust. I mean, the place crashed twice. And then we got this guy Terry Thompson.
Not a lot is known about him.
We don't even know if it's a guy, do we? I'm assuming it's a guy, but it could be a girl.
Yeah. No, there's not a lot known about this individual yet. Community reaction oriented candidate. That's about all I know. And I had to look that one up on AI. So it's all down on a one-liner, and I suspect that he's going to come in the bottom third.
Chris Dabrowski, I don't know if he's kind of like that mid-range kind of guy. Yeah. Now that Laurie's out of the running, I think he's a little bit more secure. He's also now an experienced guy. He's been out there.
1.5 terms.
Yeah, 1.5 terms.
Yeah.
So the learning curves, we know who he is. Sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. So I am sure that he will get back in, but he won't get resounding numbers. He doesn't seem to have that full confidence of the people as just yet, but he's got enough to get in, I believe.
Well, I think the next one is the one on the list that actually might well put a stumbling block on somebody like Chris Dabrowski. Is Kim Crater is returning. He's coming back into the fray as city councillor. He's been on city council before. He went for regional council at the last election, and the prior election in 2018, he ran for mayor against Diodati. And he was first of our regional councillor votes. So he may well be. Oh, by the way, one of the things we didn't discuss at the top of this is there are two incumbents that are not restanding, right?
Well, yeah, it's
Victor Peterangelo and Vince Cario are not restanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are two empty seats anyway, right?
Yeah.
So here's the question: will Kim Crater fill one of those, and Joyce Morocco fill one of those?
Yeah, very much so. And Kim Crater has a chance of being #1 vote because he's a very popular guy and he's been around.
Yeah.
The drawback with Kim is he's 80 years old, and I would say his best days are behind him, but he still has a wealth of experience. My issue with these older politicians, including someone like me, if I was to run, I'm not running, of course, but is the gerontocracy, meaning the rule of the old.
Yeah.
You know,
well, the challenge is nobody can doubt that Kim's, irrespective of whether you like his politics or not, nobody can doubt his experience, his what he's done. I would place him as a very strong contender, but but again, it's age that I think really counts against him, if anything.
Yeah, and he, I don't think he's much of a lion. He shies away from controversial things. He'll dodge controversial issues. I think he's a wise politician in that effect, but sometimes you need someone who will face up to a very controversial issue. I think if it had anything to do with controversy, he stays away from it. And so I would say, yeah, he'll probably get elected because he's well known and well liked. But I think I'd rather see somebody younger myself. No disrespect to Kim, he's done his job very well over these years. But who else? Carm Notariani.
Notariani, another one of these Italian-sounding names, right? Okay.
But sure, the city's full of them.
I know.
I got more Italians than East Indians.
There's really not a lot known about him, unless there's not even a website, really. That's basically where we have. So he's a new candidate. Very little history, very little known about him at all. No social media presence. Right.
Then we got Rich Merlino. Everyone,
everybody knows who Rich is. I would basically say last time in 2018, he didn't stand in 22. He was in 2018. He got 5673 votes. Always a popular person, a gentleman in the truest sense of the word. He has experience, but the trouble is every time he's run, he's just been under the lip.
Not this time, I don't think, because he's one of the more recognizable one in a field of a lot of people who are unrecognizable. So I think that he's probably got a fairly good chance. Anyway, let's carry on because we're going to run out of time if we don't keep going. And
Nahimi Renteria, another one of these where you don't know, low name recognition, no history, no nothing.
And Fred Audebert.
Similar, same basic thing. Know nothing about them. There's very little name recognition with these people, right?
Tanya Hartford is the next one, and I think she may have a fairly good chance. She's fairly well known. She ran before. I think I hope she has a good chance. She seems to be a very reasonable, balanced person. I think we could be well served by a person like her.
The work she does for Rotary is good. I think that actually adds the recognition, but I think where she'll come is she'll be up in the upper. She'll be in the upper half of the middle third of candidates, and won't make the top 8. Unfortunately, I like Tanya. I have a lot of respect for Tanya. She does a lot of work in the community.
All right.
But
Carmen Iannone is the next one. Carmen Iannone was the former husband of the other famous Iannone.
Yeah, yeah. Former husband, is she? Oh, is he?
Former husband,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't know that. Okay.
Now he worked for the city for a long time. So he
That's what
was
I do know.
Yeah. So he's got experience there. Chris Regas is the next. Well, we know him. He's very knowledgeable about local politics, regional politics. He's very, very knowledgeable. But does he have? And he's got a lot of signs already, probably already from the last time he ran. I don't know if he's got much of a chance. I don't know if his name is well known enough, even though he would be qualified just because of his own personal self-education on local politics.
Very knowledgeable in local politics, a conservative, very well known.
Like we already made that clear that doesn't matter if you're communist or fascist. No, still need the sewer fixed.
No, absolutely. Chris Regas, though, is a candidate who would actually see that we've spent our money wisely.
Then Aaron Ramnarine, anything about her?
Not or a lot. Him, actually, wouldn't it be? No, not a lot at all about him. My AI thing is basically saying he's new. Building a fresh campaign, limited public profile, not known in the media at all.
Gary Baker, we do know him.
We know Gary. Gary's been around for a while. He's run in the last 4 campaigns, I believe. He got 1943 votes at the last election. I rather suspect that Gary's one of these polite-spoken people, and I suspect he's going to end up with about 2,000 votes.
Shane O'Connell. What do we know about him?
Not well. He goes by the name of Shana O'Connell, right? He's but very little profile knowledge about him. And the trouble is, I think they've mixed the thing in looking up his profile has mixed him up with a computer programming student at Algonquin College, which I don't think is the same person.
And Rob Baranka.
Yeah, again, nothing known. So one of these bottom third style candidates.
And then the final one is Frank DeLuca, which we do know. We've seen his name up there.
Frank DeLuca, even though he hasn't stood before, I would actually say that he's probably going to do a Lori Lococo, right? He's going to go to 9th place first time around. Right.
He could. Okay.
Right.
So so
he's done a lot of research.
I don't want to get into all the other ones, or we won't talk about anything else.
No, we won't
bore the crap out of everybody if they aren't already bored.
We're not going to go to any of the other candidates at all. The other fields, right? Not at all. Yeah, absolutely not. Okay. Okay. So moving.
Well, the biggest story for Canada, of course, is the collapse of the trade deal.
Between the United States and Canada. Before we get there, when is election day? Election day, I believe, is October 26th. So we're basically 2 months away.
Yeah.
All right. And yes, we do need a debate. Are there any debates coming up? If we hear about them, I'll let you know. I'll keep an eye out for debates. And whether I can attend them is another question. I'm looking at attending at least the mayoral debate. But whether there's any other debate, don't know. All right, let's move on to the question of now of Carney and the trade deal. So basically, the presidents are backing Carney on the trade war.
Yeah, of course, we've called it here last week, didn't we? We said that in the 11th hour, the U.S. were going to start making demands that weren't originally in the in the deal. So they came up with a deal during the middle of the week, and it looked pretty good. And Trump says, "Oh yeah, we got a deal. It looks like really is good. I'm giving it 3 more days so to solidify." But we knew better here at Talking Niagara, because we knew that there was going to be that last minute thing they tried to jam down your throat. They did it to the Japanese, right? They had to deal with the Japanese, and when they came to sign it, they threw in a few extra conditions that made it impossible for the Japanese. When they made the deal with the Saudis of late for the nuclear power stations, at the very last second, they said, you can get it, but you have to join the Abrahamic Accords, which the Saudis could not do. And they did the same thing here with us. They, in the last few minutes. Now, it is said that the person most involved in making this deal not work was Howard Lutnick, who came in and started adding his own conditions. He didn't like what had been arranged by the American negotiators, and he started demanding more stuff about things about the auto industry, and that I think, and he overplayed his hand. They felt like, including J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance said that Carney had puffed up his chest in a kind of a false bravado, and that he was now being taken to task. He was a nice guy, but he had to accept the realities of the deal, and that all his huffing and puffing amounted to nothing. And so he's fallen in line. That's what Vance said. And it turns out that Lutnick came in and messed things up, according to all the rumors, and overplayed the hand. And I think that Trump is really rather disappointed that he did that, because they were on the cusp of a deal. Now, the only other explanation I have is they didn't want a deal in the first place. They absolutely didn't want a deal in the first place. They wanted to put pressure on Canada.
And the point being is, now it wasn't Trump that came up with this last minute addition. It was Lutnick, right?
Yeah, I remember who is the monkey wrench in the gears when it came to the Gordie Howe Bridge. Right? Lutnick. He was the guy that is stuck in. And Lutnick, as we know, is his nickname is the most hated man on Wall Street, because he's not exactly the most ethical dude. We do know that he's the guy that lied a whole lot about his association with Epstein. He lied. He said he met him once. He never wanted to meet him again. He was too yucky. He was he grossed him out. And then it turns out that he had business dealings. He visited him on his island, took his kids down to Epstein Island, and his friends' kids down to Epstein Island. Can you imagine? After he knew.
Now looking back on it, absolutely. You should be grossed out by everything relating to Epstein Island, and you're taking your kids and your friends' kids. That's a no-no.
Yeah, and it turns out he had a whole bunch of business dealings. So he lied vehemently. He just said, "Oh, he's just too ugly a dude. I couldn't stand being in the same room with him. I met him once, and that's all." Just massive lies. And so this is the type of guy who came in and messed up the negotiations.
One of the important things, though, is U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, who we've heard from before, was announcing last, at the final, thing. He said there's no deal reached between the two countries because less than an hour before midnight last night, Canada declined to finalize the agreement and made new demands and walkbacks. So he's putting the blame squarely on the shoulders of Canada.
The demands from Canada were they demand that they don't put these new demands on. That was the demands from Canada. So in the 11th hour, they started making new demands on Canada, which made it, according to Carney, made it impossible to sign the deal, because it would have given the United States way too much control over our economy.
Yeah.
And I think I really don't have much faith in the American negotiators because the Canadian, according to Carney, Canadian negotiators were united. United, they were all together, but the American negotiators had different players involved. It had Greer, it had Lutnick, it had a few others poking their nose in there. So it wasn't a united front on the other side. So when Lutnick starts storming in there, and he comes from the bottom, I think to tell you the truth, I have a feeling I would not be surprised. Put it this way, that Trump is disappointed by the failure of this particular deal because he would have liked to have bragged about it. And when Trump gets really angry about something, he usually vents massively on Truth Social, and he calls people's names and all that other stuff. He did very little of that when it came to this, which was a kind of an indication he may have been disappointed that things didn't go that well. He needs a win. He needs a win right now. The Iran war is going really bad. The affordability crisis is increasing, and so he needs a win. Really, he could use a few wins, and making a reasonable deal with Canada would be one of those wins.
However, the one thing about this is Danielle Smith is saying to Carney, get back in that negotiation room, get back and deal with it.
I think Danielle Smith is a wimp. She's one of the people who were sort of overwhelmed by. She went down there to meet Trump, and she's one of those people that believes Trump everything he says, kind of. I don't think. Oh, she says, go back in there, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? When, as Carney has said, and we said this too on this show, remember? We said that no deal that's ever been written up with by Trump so far has ever been a secure deal. He changes it all the time. Yeah. When they said that the signature is in pencil, that's exactly what they mean. Everybody that's made a deal with Trump so far in the world has found out that at any whim he changed the deal. So it's not written in stone; it's written in pencil, which can be easily.
And I think Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe was saying that that Carney was right not to accept unfair and unreliable terms.
That's exactly it. Very, very. We don't know why Smith wants to kowtow to Trump. I don't think that's a good idea. We found out by any means that Trump does not respect anybody that kowtows to them. He loves it. He'll take advantage of anybody that kowtows him. But as much as he doesn't like people who do not kowtow to him, he actually gives them grudging respect. So we're in a war right now. I think it's impossible to work with the weirdos that Trump has in his administration. Weirdos like Lutnick and Greer might be okay, but he's just taking orders. And then you got guys like Bessent and all these people poking around. Miller. There's too many players on the American side, each one of them having their own idea. Lutnick wants to take all of auto manufacturing and put it into the States. And yet the automobile, right now, because of the tariffs that the administration is putting out there, the average car has gone up $1,200 for American consumer. And that's because of the tariffs that are put on. You have this management system that goes across 3 countries, parts and everything being made. It's really thrown a monkey wrench into the works.
Yeah.
And it's adding costs to the average American consumer.
Well, we started off with a number of comments in relation to the trade deal. And I'm wondering if I can get back, to the beginning badly hit by 50% US tariffs. Yeah. He's happy that Gold Maple happy that Carney walked away from negotiations. Should have done this long ago with Trump. And yeah, the problem here is that Trump, the Americans have been unreliable in this. It's like I think this has been our biggest concern. And Mike says you can't negotiate with a psycho, right? And provinces most affected are going to be Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick. Yeah, potentially. Yes. Canadian dollar is going to fall. Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that. Absolutely. Right. Okay. So moving.
We may get a deal because these particular new tariff was supposed to be designed to hurt Carney's standing, basically. That's what I read, or that's what I heard from one economist, an American economist, said that the current tariffs that were proposed were supposed to whittle down trust in Carney, make it hard for Carney. So what's going to happen is they're going to reverse that. They're going to start targeting areas in purple states and in red states where they might be able to turn the vote against Republicans. And because of that, they may get a deal, because at this particular time, the Republicans of Trump do not want any more emphasis put on their opponents. Right now, the Republicans apparently are having a very difficult time, and if they start targeting tariffs against certain sectors of the U.S. economy that are in purple states or swing states and all that, it may make the difference in the election coming up. So all's fair in love and war, and there's very little love lost, so it's all war right now.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, we should all be galvanizing together and fighting China, really. And what do? What, like the Americans go for the low hanging fruit. Who can we steal from? Oh, we can steal from a northern neighbor or a southern neighborhood, right? We can push them around.
Yeah,
it's too bad. Like really, what the United States did so well for so many years was build up allegiances in governments, NATO alliances, and alliances all over the world, from Japan, Australia, Canada, West, all over the place. It developed huge amounts of alliances. It developed an incredible trading system all around the world based on capitalism. And now it's turning its back on that. And everyone who bought into that and became an alliance in allegiance with the United States are now being attacked. It's not like, hey, guys, we got to, you've been one of our allies, but I don't think we have fair trade. Let's fix that. It's not that. It's attack, attack, attack. So nobody trusts the United States anymore, which is a sad thing. Nobody trusts them. Nobody trusts any deal they'll put out. It's just very, very, America's status has gone down huge. And that's too bad. The Western world needs a strong and just sort of center, and that was the United States. It had moral fortitude. It doesn't now. It's got a bunch of weirdos in the White House. You can't help it.
Okay, so interesting. Okay, so Ricky put up a thing about IRGC attacked Britain hydro grid 4 days offline. Well, they haven't been 4 days offline, and Britain's got a secure grid. So whilst there was an attack upon a UK power plant that was shut down, the rest of the grid took it up anyway. The UK grid, since the power outage that happened in 2003, there hasn't.
How do they know it's IRGC?
That's a very good question.
How do they know it's IRGC?
They're saying the Guardian saying Iran-linked hackers blamed for a cyber attack that shut down.
Oh, it's a cyber attack. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
Well,
one UK power plant, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. The hackers are working in the United States too, and Canada as well. But there's also Russian and Chinese hackers too. So, anyway, yeah. So that's distressing. It's alarming that they were able to get into Britain and do something like that. But at least it's not a missile.
You don't even have to get there. It's cyber attacks are done remotely anyway.
Yeah.
You know that.
Right. And that kind of cyber attack is going back and forth all the time anyway. Like I'm sure Israel and the U.S. are cyber attacking Iran out of its pants right now. Now that's the thing that's going to keep bothering the economy too. Here's a reminder for everyone: get your gas before September 1st. Let's sort of gas up the day before September 1st, 31st of August, because that's when the 10 cents is going to go back on every liter of gas. It was removed. It was a 10% tax that was removed from every liter of gas during the early part of this war by the feds. But the feds are going to put it back on September 1st. So our gas prices are going to go up 10 cents per liter. That was they only removed that to make gas more affordable for the average person. But they're going to still need that revenue that they're missing from that. Right. So
yeah, we're going to have to call it quits at that point anyway.
All right. I'm going to just mention Gaza again, and I'll be really quick. It's a nightmare there. Remember that most of the people that live there, like 2/3 of the people are under the age of 18 when that war began, and it was just a disaster for it. I don't know. What are we going to do? We got to get, like, the people who are running it, the people who are controlling it are not honest players. They're Donald Trump and they're Netanyahu. These guys are not honest players. They don't have the people's rights concerned. As a matter of fact, more and more of the extreme leaders of the Israeli factions are saying that Palestinians don't deserve to live, that one Palestinian or one Israeli is worth 10,000 Palestinians, etc. Very, very harsh, crude stuff. Yeah. Anyway, without further ado, I bid you adieu. Bye-bye.
All right. Just to let you know and everybody else know, there won't be a show on Wednesday morning. Okay.
Okay.